Aloha kākou, and welcome to the 2009 Merrie Monarch Festival in Hilo, Hawaii. We have the royal court that's arriving. This time we have our conch shell blowers that we see here this evening. And then we also have a very special Royal Order of Guards from the Big Island representing Waiakea and Hilo High School students. They're part of the junior ROTC programs for these schools. Their vision is to educate and train youth and adults to become guards of excellence. And we're so pleased to have them here. The Royal Court, of course, representing that time of Kalākaua, our Merrie Monarch, and our ali'i. So important to Hawaii and our history.
Hawaii, Kaiolana, Tolentino Chin.
No mea ole, our chanter for the evening is Kamuela-chan. Our mo'i kane, our king is Calvin Clyde Higa, and our mo'i wahine, Debbie Kehaulani Isabel. Well, last night, Kimo, we saw 11 incredible dancers compete for the individual title of Miss Aloha Hula 2009. Let's take a look back. The Hawaiian Language Award for Oli, sponsored by the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, went to Teresa Henohea Napua Ikavau Kele Kane.
The fifth place winner was Maria Kaiulani Kanehailua.
In fourth place, Pohai Ko'ilani and Nu'uhiva.
The third place was Kaholo Kahiki Pi'ilani Pānui.
The second place winner was Siari Mai Kawailehua Kealoha.
And the reigning 2009 Miss Aloha Hula is Charissa Henohea Napua Ikavau Kele Ka.
Such a touching performance honoring her grandmother's home.
Last night, Paula spoke with the new Miss Aloha Hula and her cousin and Kumu Hula, Keali'i Rachel.
We have our new Miss Aloha Hula. How does this feel? How does this feel?
It feels surreal, definitely. I was happy before the results, but now I think I'm at the top of happy.
I know when you were preparing for this and we were on Maui, you talked about what it was going to feel like when you were dancing, about Tutu's home and everything. What did it feel like when you actually stepped on the stage and that song started?
It felt wonderful. I felt very comfortable and I was confident because I knew I had my family physically here in front of me, behind me, my cousin and my father, and spiritually with my auntie and my grandmother. So I was very comfortable and happy.
Yeah. Congratulations. And you, the Kumu, your first time here at Merrie Monarch. I mean, and she wins the language award.
Oh my God.
And Miss Aloha Hula.
You know, we're so thankful for any kind of recognition. You know, being here first and foremost is for us was a long journey, an emotional one, and so being able to dance on this stage, to share our hula, to connect with our kupuna, and to remember them through our dance is paramount. And so all of this is just absolutely amazing.
You think Tutu is watching?
I know she is. Yeah, her blood is running through our veins, and she's watching, and she is going, yeehaw!
I know I had one last thing for you. Hawaiian language is so important to you and the culture. Talk about how important it was in winning that Hawaiian language award.
That was definitely important for me. I've grown up basically in the Hawaiian language, and that's what I do now. I take care of kids, and I teach kids to not just speak the language, but to live the culture. And so for me, that recognition was very my kai.
First place, clearly, for 2009. From Hälau, Kalākaua, Charissa, Henohea, Napua, Ikavau Kele, Kane.
As the competitors make their final preparations, let's go now to Pua Kanahene and Manu Boyd, two kumuhula who have brought their halau to this very stage.
Well, Hula KAHIKO is my favorite because it brings all of the old stories up to today, and it reminds us who we are, who our kupunas were, and how we can bring those values up to today.
The interesting term Hula KAHIKO, and KAHIKO really means ancient, but in this competition, they use the year 1893 as the cutoff point. So all the mo'olelo and the mele must be either written during or written about that time period. Now, when we think about the monarchy period, in particular the Kalākaua era, that really isn't ancient in our thinking. And tonight we will be seeing, however, dances from that period, and then we go all the way back to the mother of Kamehameha I, Keku'i Apoiwa, and references to even further, many generations back before that.
But Pele Honuamea and her story is very popular in Hula KAHIKO because it's what makes our volcano live, it's what makes our island live. And we see all of the lehua, the different color lehua, orange, yellow, red. They all have their connection back to Pele Honuamea. And so a lot of dances are done for Pele Honuamea.
We look forward to a lot of variety again in our traditional hula, the hula olapa, the hula kahiko, and many other forms of that. But this time we go back to Paula and Kimo and see what's next.
Throughout the ages, hula has served as an essential role in preserving our culture. Its chants contain the stories of the Hawaiian people going far back into the mists of time.
Hula is that unseen umbilical cord that traverses and passes through millennia and generations and multiple generations and people and lands and trials and tribulations and chaos. My name is Kaumakaiwa Kanakaole, and I was born and raised in Hilo, Hawaii. I belong to my family tradition that has been based in Hawai'i Island since the beginning, and that being the Pele traditions of hula. The very first hula danced in the Pele traditions, and that belongs solely to the Hawai'i Island traditions. has to do with Ke Ha'alapunai Kamakani, and Ke Ha'alapunai Kamakani is the very first dance that Hi'iaka does with Hopoi, her companion, whom is also embodied in the lehua. Ke Ha'alapunai Matanila Ha'akaulu Ha'aitea Ha'aena me Hopoi Ha'atavahine. As it explains in the chant, the rhythms of the trees and the ocean, and it says that ha'ena and hopoi, the environment being ha'ena, or the place, and hopoi is the vegetation, and Hi'iaka dances with them. You begin to see the camaraderie and that they are one and the same. So the genius of our people is to say that by emulating these movements and by mimicking these movements, we become the tree, we become the flower, we become a part of this ongoing dance of life. Thus begins the evolution of the dance. If I can move my hips and my hands the way the tree does, then the tree and I are the same. We are one for that moment. And that sort of transcendence of hula and the ritual between man and land begins. So you have the discovery of the connection between man and land on Hawaii Island. Then the next step in that evolutionary ascent is that of Kauai. Reflected in Kauai, particularly in Kehualaka, in Ke'e, on Ha'ena Kauai. You have the kuahu, or the altar, is completely removed from the forest of Hawaii Island into the cliffsides of Kauai with very archaic form of an altar. It is a prime example of how our ancestors begin to formalize the ritual and formalize the exchange between man and nature. And you begin to understand that hula is now being taken out from the source, from the land base, and is being translated into a more formal setting. In Molokai is when we begin to observe the true kuahu traditions, the traditions of the altar, and where the altar is removed and all of the manifestations and the vegetation that we use in hula of laka and of kapo'ula and of the many other forms into the realm of hula on a formal altar. Now that you have an altar and you have a structure in which people can connect to, people will then gather to that particular space, as people do gather in hälau. The physical hälau has become that kuahu, has become that structure in which people can gather and reenact all of these movements of the earth and of the environment and of the people therein. And that's what occurs in Molokai. Then there is another evolutionary step. What happens is that now we can not only elaborate on the movements of not just the ocean and the forest, but we can evolve to the animal forms of the earth and of the ocean. We can begin to mimic birds, and you see in the Ku'i Molokai, and you begin to see the very specific articulation and how finite the techniques of hula become. Now that people have a place to gather and a formal structure, you begin to structuralize the formal hälau, and then the tradition can be able to progress further into shark dances and into dances of the pe'epe makavalu, the spider dance, or the pig dances. And so you observe the pig and how it dances, and you move like it. The ami pua'a, we have an ami named after it. And so that was an important step in the evolution of hula, is what occurred in Molokai. The substance, the very core of hula and its essence is defined through, whether through movement, through the movement of the vocals, of the footwork, of the entire body of the olapane, the entire being transcending that space around them. The connectivity is what makes it all relevant, from the very tips of your finger to the bottom of your feet, to the expression on your face, the voice that you express, and takes it beyond the landscape that you call the audience, and beyond further to the horizon and back to you. And without that, it is just movement.
And here with us, once again, Pua and Manu.
I think the audience at home needs to know how the groups are being judged. First rule, their time limit is 7 minutes.
All kumu shall be U.S. citizens and residents.
Hälau shall have primary facilities in USA.
Each halau is allowed one entry in the kane and wahine divisions.
Minimum 5 dancers, maximum 35 dancers.
Dancers are to be 13 to 55 years of age.
Maximum 5 ho'opa'a or 5 musicians.
The chant that they perform needs to be composed in 1893 or earlier, or be of that subject matter.
New chants are accepted if it reflects the time period.
Costumes and adornment shall be of the era. Ka'i and ho'i chant should be complementary to the competition chant.
No duplication of competition chants. First come, first serve basis.
Ho'opa'a must be dressed in a ho'opa'a attire.
Wahine dancers cannot be topless.
Scoring for the ka'i, and the ka'i is how the dancers, how organized they are in whether they chant on or dance on, how they enter the stage.
The interpretation of the scoring.
Expression, of course, are they understanding what they're doing, how do they feel.
The next is their posture.
Precision with one another, precision with the ho'opa'a or the chanters.
Hand gestures are important.
Foot movement, and for those dancers that are seated, they judge the body movements, the leans, and that sort of thing.
The halau is also judged on the ho'i, or the returning back off the stage.
What they're wearing, is it authentic? Does it match the time period?
The adornments are also very important.
Grooming and neatness is a value in our culture, and that is looked at very, very critically.
And finally, the overall performance.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome all of the world to Hilo, Hawaii and the Merrie Monarch Festival. How about a nice hand for the great people of Hilo, Hawaii and Hawaii Island, Mokuokeawe, the extension of their aloha, their warmth and their care toward us being here. And we, hopefully, will be part of their economic stimulus package this evening and throughout this weekend. We have to say aloha to two very special people before we introduce our judges. First, Dottie Thompson and George Naope. Could we have a nice round of applause for them, for their work throughout these years? This festival would not be here without them. Aloha to you, George. Aloha to you, Dottie. We just got word that Auntie BJ, who is always here at the Merrie Monarch Festival, has double pneumonia. So we want to say aloha to her, extend a special aloha to her spirit, her love for this festival year after year after year. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the introduction of the 46th Annual Merrie Monarch Festival judges. We appreciate their time, their care, the sacrifices they have made to be here, and we honor them this evening. First of all, please welcome Kimo Alama Keaolana. Our next distinguished judge, Joan S. Lindsay. Next, we have the wonderful Pat Namaka Bacon. From the legacy of the Kanakaole, Na'alani Kalakaua. She has helped in many ways over the years. Noi Noi Lani, Zudameister Lewis. Next we have Alicia Smith. And our final judge, Kalena Silva. Thank you for joining us at the day 2 of the 2009 Merrie Monarch Festival. Tonight is Hula KAHIKO. Our first halau will dance to Pi'imauna no Kalele o Na'alani, a name chant for Queen Emma.
The mele recounts her visit to Waikiki on the island of Hawaii, where she hears the sweet voices of the palila and iiwi birds singing in the upland forest. She feels the piercing cold on her skin. In the mele's poetic imagery, the native birds represent the affection between Queen Emma and her husband, Kamehameha IV.
Ladies and gentlemen, here for the first time from Las Vegas, Nevada, under the direction of Hula and former Miss Aloha Hula, Sheldine Kaleimomi Kaleohano Haleamaun. Ladies and gentlemen, Hälau Hula o Kaleimomi.
Oh,
A wonderful mele inoa for Queen Emma, who loved to travel and had a passion for hiking.
The ladies are entering with an oli in honor of Queen Kapiolani and her birth island of Kauai. It compares her to an everlasting lehua blossom, a heavenly flower to be cherished forever.
Their mele hula, Hano Hano o Lehua, was composed to commemorate the Queen's visit to Kauai and Ni'ihau.
Another first-time entry to the Merrie Monarch Festival from Kahowiki, Oahu. Now Kumuhula, Tracy and Keave Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen, Kala o Nohimai o Hae Hae.
Me hai lai ka pili o e vai he mai. La
the Merrie Monarch Festival.
With a beautiful tribute to the Queen who reigned alongside our Merrie Monarch.
The ladies from Maui perform Leahana Ika Makani Ua Lauava, which names mainly many of the winds and rains that are unique to Hana Maui. In the beautiful descriptions of the island's natural wonders are hints of love.
First composed for Lunalilo, who had a very short reign, the chant was later acquired by his successor, Kalākaua. This act sent a strong message to Hawaii's ali'i families.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome from Wailuku, Maui, under the direction of Kumuhula, Ke ali'i Raishel, Halau, Ke alo Kamaile.
akila na nika uiki ole a I ka maka nika u akale ale a tano e a ila e mai ka I molele kaliko ohi akala liko ohi a ohi na I te o bala la le na uli o ke ki I hoa ia e taua e le malino e a ila e mai ka I molele kaliko ohi akala liko ohi a ohi na I te o bala la le na uli o ke ki I hoa ia e taua e le malino e a ila e o karua ke a ona ni hua ia e la I ke kai ka I pua o liki pua I tala I ka bohula ia o ke kanaka e a ila e o karua ke a ona ni hua ia e la I ke kai ka I pua o liki pua I tala I ka bohula ia o ke kanaka e ila e o ia nei e
O ke kumui mai ka iai ka manao.
ila e o ia nei e
Hei nono, Kalākaua.
A mele from Na Mele Aimoku, a book of chants honoring King Kalakaua on his 50th birthday.
And now, sharing manao about the performances you have seen, we go to Pua and Manu.
I don't hear them. I don't hear them. Emma climbs Mauna Kea. She is greeted by the kamaaina of the uplands, the iiwi bird, the palila, and the chill of the women of the mountains. They wear the forest as they dance in green, adorned with palapalai ferns, the first growth.
These girls dance well together for their first time entry. They too, like Queen Emma, they have traveled far. Queen Emma traveled to the summit of Mauna Kea, to Alaka'i Swamp, to Lehua. And speaking of Lehua, we have this performance honoring Queen Kapi'olani and her journey to Ni'ihau and Lehua.
The Lehua is represented in abundance with this mele of the island of Lehua, considered the mole of Hawai'i Islands or the root. It mentions the islands in close proximity, such as Nihoa,